Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deanna and you're watching Orchie Dee. We are looking at the Stanhopea tigrina at the moment, but before I tell you why we're looking at this orchid, I just want to apologise for not being on YouTube very much. If you check out my community page, you'll know why, and there's a big story with our little dog Frankie, and well, I wouldn't be making this video right now if there wasn't good news. So stick around to the end of the video, and for those that are interested, I will give you guys an update on Frankie. And the very good news is he is at home at the moment, but he's resting. First we will handle this Stanhopea and then I will give you guys an update. Now, none of my Stanhopeas have ever bloomed before, and I will show you the rest of them towards the end of this video. Now, of all the Stanhopeas, this is the one that's actually doing the best. The rest look even rattier than this one, but overall, besides, you know, the damage on the leaves, you can see that it's actually growing really well. And I did see on one of the Facebook, you know, orchid pages, there was a very good Stanhopea grower who had pictures of all his beautiful orchids in bloom, and I asked him what his secret was to flowering the Stanhopeas, and he said the first thing you should probably do if your Stanhopeas are growing well is actually to unpot them and see if you don't have flower spikes caught down the bottom. So that sort of triggered me to have a little look at some of these a bit more carefully, although I haven't unpotted them because I haven't had time. But lo and behold, this is my Stanhopea tigrina, and I think you can see that green there. That is a flower bud developing, and it's caught in this. And let me spin this around. There is a successfully protruding spike, and I think you can just see the green down there, but that is another flower spike that's caught. I really thought these baskets would be okay for Stanhopea growing, but I guess I underestimated the size of these flower spikes, because look how huge they are, and I know they're huge flowers, but yeah, I really just thought that they would push through. Anyhow, not the case. So actually all of my Stanhopeas are potted in baskets like this, and so they're all going to need repotting at some stage. But for now, I thought we could make a quick video and I can try to release some of these flower spikes. I am a bit nervous about damaging the buds, but we'll see how we go. But let's have a quick look at the other Stanhopeas that I've got in my collection at the moment. Okay, so we will start with the one that's doing the worst. This used to be one of my most successful Stanhopeas, and you might be able to see that there's a dead portion here. It's actually not a dead portion. This is two plants. They separated when I first got this orchid. It came to me bare root and actually separated into two parts. This is Stanhopea oculata crossed with Anfracta, and actually this portion that's died off was doing really well, but when I went away on my honeymoon, I'm not sure if it dehydrated and died off, although this is actually the smaller portion that's survived, so I don't know what's happened. I haven't actually taken it out of here, and it hasn't affected the growth of this new one, but this is the newest growth on the smaller portion, and yeah, it's going to get repotted at some stage. Next up we've got Stanhopea genesiana, and you can see it does look very ratty at the moment. This is largely due to dehydration. These guys have been drying out within the day, and this is like, you know, almost 70% sphagnum in these mixes, and I soak them and then they're dry in less than a day, and I certainly haven't been watering them daily as they need. That's life. I think they're going to pull through okay. They're all pretty healthy otherwise, but yeah, you can see it's not looking that fantastic, but it does have quite a few new growths coming out. You can see on this one that it's actually got a new growth pushing up against the edge there, so they all do need a repot, but I do need to find some new baskets for them first, which I haven't. So I guess two main options have been presented to me, which is one is like the very thin wired rounded basket, and just to coat that with a a layer of coconut coir and then fill it with your mix. And then the other option is a dedicated Stanhopea basket, which is a basket with kind of thinner plastic and large sort of square holes through it. So yeah, I'm going to see what I can get my hands on, because the larger wire sort of baskets do actually take up a lot of room, and I'm not too sure where I would put them. But if I can find spots for them, that might be the better option, and it would sort of mean that, you know, I don't have to repot them probably as often either. And the last one here is a Stanhopea nigroviolacea, which also is suffering from some dehydration there, and you can see it seems to be growing out towards the edge of this pot as well. Still growing very well, but yeah, I'll have to unpot them at some stage and check them out, but I just wanted to show them to you. Now let's go back to my Stanhopea tigrina and try and figure out these little flower spikes. Alright everyone, well here we are with our Stanhopea. I have to be very, very cautious of this here and not to break it in any way. In fact, I might loosen this one at the end as well. I can just see myself having an accident there. But the first one we're going to try and release is this bud here. So it's pushed right up against the plastic there. So what I'm going to try and do is cut all three of these and just pull it out a little bit to try and give it some room to push out. So the top ones will be a little bit easier. This one shouldn't be too hard. Got a little bit of room here. Okay, actually going to lie it on the side a little bit just to protect that bud up the top. So I'll try and show you guys, there is a little bit of damage on the side of that bud there. It's really difficult actually getting this in between there, so I can only do my best. Probably wouldn't make it if I didn't free it up anyway, so let's get this last one happening. Oh well, that was an easier option, wasn't it? So I'll leave it for now and we'll try and work on the other one. You can sort of see the growth habit of this Stanhopea. It's got like a bulb coming out of here as well. So here's a bud here that we're trying to free. So maybe I can break it off again. Well, that was way easier. So if you're ever trying to do this yourselves, you just need to cut at the top and these guys break off fairly easily. So this little bud now, I'm not going to move it too much, but at least it has room to pull out this way. And we'll double check there's nothing coming out from the bottom, not that I can see. This bud is pretty well developed. Just, there is a little bit of damage on that bud. But we're going to try and pull it free. There we go. Alright guys, well, I've pulled this guy out a little bit. You can see a little bit of damage there on the side, but it's mostly still intact. This guy seems to be okay. I might actually just release that one from the top and bottom there. So at least it's just got a little bit of room for itself there. And this one should be able to just grow out now as well. So I'm just going to go and hang this one back up and I will be back to have a little chat about Frankie. Alright everyone, for those of you who stuck around for a little update on Frankie, here he is with his brother, and they're both so happy to see each other, but he is home, and honestly it is nothing short of a miracle. For those of you who aren't familiar with Frankie or are new to my channel, this is just a little bit of background on Frankie's medical history, because honestly you could not make this stuff up if you tried. Frankie is now 14 months old. When we got him he was about 9 weeks old, and we had him for 6 days and he developed meningitis. It wasn't anyone's fault, and actually they could never find a cause for what caused the meningitis, but that is something that made him extremely sick. He was so little. He was about 2.5 kilos at the time. You know, we were already so attached to him after 1 week, and on the day he had it he was just floridly septic, like he was really unwell, and they had to put him under a general anesthetic and do a little lumbar puncture to get some of that spinal cord fluid to assess it. Yeah, it was a really scary time for us, and we struggled through that for about 3 months. He had relapses, he had seizures, he was put on chronic antibiotics and steroids, and he somehow managed to pull through that. So we know he's a fighter, and then he was well for about a month, and then he broke his leg. So he needed surgery for that as well, and yep, pulled through that one. And then me and Jared actually got married, had our honeymoon. We were away for about 2 months, and when we got back, like, I'd always known that he's had a little bit of problem with his airway. So yeah, basically it's to do with the breed, and obviously this is an orchid channel, I'm not going to get into this too much. You know, Toby is also a brachycephalic breed, he's a Boston Terrier, but Frankie has quite severe disease, and we honestly didn't know how severe that disease was. There was no way we could have known, and especially as a puppy, like, you know, we didn't really know how to assess those things. And you know, there's another story altogether about how they breed these dogs and animals now, and yeah, that's another ethical issue that's been, I guess, really acutely made aware of now. But anyway, so Frankie had quite severe disease. They did the operation. They basically gave him a nose job. They made his nostrils wider. They cut off some of his soft palate, and they actually took out his tonsils as well. And the actual surgery went fine, but when they went to take out the tube, basically there was too much swelling and he couldn't breathe, so they had to put the tube back in. Kept the tube in for a day to see if the swelling would go down, and it didn't. It was an unsuccessful extubation, so they weren't able to take out the tube again, and so we decided that the best thing to do was a tracheostomy. So that's a little hole in the neck, so he got a little hole directly in his neck into the windpipe so he could bypass his upper airway altogether. That is quite an extreme measure for a dog. It's not even that common for, you know, these airway surgeries altogether. Really uncommon, and of course, you know, it would happen to Frankie because he's Frankie. So basically he got the tracheostomy put in a day or two after the operation. Yeah, you know, like, they woke him up. He was able to wake up and, you know, breathe through that tracheostomy. And so the way they assess the patency of the airway is to block off the tracheostomy tube, and there should be space around that tube, so if you block it off they should be able to breathe if they've got a good upper airway. And basically they blocked it and he turned blue within about 10 seconds, and that was on Friday, and I was there at the time. Like, I wasn't there for the actual procedure when they blocked it off, but I was at the vet, and yeah, it was devastating, honestly. He's our baby, so, you know, seeing him like that, being able to move around and eat and almost be okay, except he didn't have an airway, that's really not compatible with life. They tried one last measure. They swapped it to a smaller one, basically, and that was basically the last ditch effort to avoid a permanent tracheostomy. So if this didn't work, we were facing a permanent tracheostomy, which not a lot of people can probably handle. It's pretty much 24/7 care for about the first 4 months, and then after you get through that 4-month period, it can get a little bit easier, but you know, it's lifelong, hole in the neck. You have to be very careful. They can't have baths, they can't go, you know, around water. Well, if anything goes through that hole, it goes straight into the lungs. So, you know, it's a big deal. Really, like, I can barely say the words, but you know, that's what we were facing. can we look after a permanent tracheostomy to people who work full-time jobs, or, you know, the unspeakable basically. And then on Friday at midnight, we received a call to say Frankie had had a coughing fit and he coughed the bloody tracheostomy out and somehow managed to breathe through his own airway. Like, I told you, you can't make this stuff up. And so they left it out, and he basically turned a corner over the weekend. You can see he's just, he's got a little bandage there now, and you know, it's a very, very small hole. It closes up by itself. You know, if you don't make it a permanent tracheostomy, which requires further surgery, and the actual whole of these temporary tracheostomies close up, and he's breathing on his own, through his own airway. It is unbelievable. He's having a little dream at the moment. He does have a little drip in still, which will get removed tomorrow. And yeah, his breathing is just unbelievably better. If you look through some of my older videos, like most of my ones from this year, you might be able to hear a little bit of a squeaking noise in the background, and that is Frankie snoring. So he has never slept quietly, never. He doesn't even breathe quietly, but at rest when he's awake, there's no airway noise anymore. Like, it's just unbelievable. And oh, I can't even describe how grateful we are. Like, 2 days ago, we were just facing this impossible decision, and yeah, we brought him home yesterday, and he's been with us, and he's just so happy at home. And oh, Toby is the most sensitive soul. Like, you know, he pretends he doesn't care, but he really missed his little brother. Okay, everyone, well, thank you for those of you who stuck around for that explanation. Sorry it was quite a lengthy outro, but I know a lot of you guys would want to know how things are going, and that Frankie is, God, you can't even believe it, but he's doing really well. Yeah, I know this is an Orchid channel, but some of you guys like have known Frankie since I got him, and you know, you were there when he made his little debut a year ago. And yeah, sometimes he gets more comments on some of my videos than the Orchids do. So yeah, gosh, I just want to thank you all for your support on the community page and on Instagram and everything. It really meant a lot to us. I can't believe it's just been like a week, but it has been a horrible, very trialing week. And I mean, this year has been challenging for Jared and I. You know, we got married, we had a wonderful wedding, a wonderful honeymoon, but surrounding that, there were just a lot of challenging events. Just am so grateful that Frankie turned around this weekend, because I just can't imagine if it went the other way. These two guys are just the loves of our life. Like, we just love them so very dearly. They're our kids. We are so grateful and could not hope to end the year on a happier note. I want to wish you guys all the very happiest of Christmases, wonderful New Year's. I hope you guys have a lovely time with your families and your loved ones over the holiday period. So I will end this video now, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week as well, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.